Hi everybody, and welcome to our first Facebook Live for Black History Month. So this is we've got a number of Facebook Lives that we will be doing every week across October to celebrate Black History Month. So my name's Aman and I'm the Inclusion and Diversity Coordinator here at the RPS, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by a panel of incredible pharmacists working in different sectors of pharmacy. So we've got Yetunde, who's a Regional Medical Affairs Director at RB. Would you like to say hello, Yetunde? Oh, you're on mute.
Hello, everyone. This is Yetunde Kolade.
And we've also got Uzo, who's a Chief Pharmacist at the Royal United Hospitals Bath NHS Foundation Trust.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
And we've also got Olateya, who's the Director and Superintendent Pharmacist at the Priory Community Pharmacy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Olateya.
So we'll be hearing their stories about what they do and how they got into the roles that they're doing, and also then being able to ask some questions. So throughout the chat today, if you've got any questions or comments, please do post them at the bottom of the Facebook Live, and then we can always share them after each person's spoken. So I just wanted to introduce Black History Month slightly. So this year has been a funny old year, but 2020 has held up a mirror to the world and forced many to recognize the reality of racism in all of its guises, and race is therefore coming to sharp focus. And so that, and also the disproportionate effect of COVID on BAME communities, which is highlighting a long-standing health inequalities that have already existed. So that has uncovered some institutionalized racism and systemic discrimination across different industries. And we can see the direct effect within pharmacy. And pharmacy is considered a diverse profession. We are 45% from a BAME community. However, inclusion and the sense of belonging is something that's still amiss within the profession. And we can see it directly. So we have issues within the pharmacy profession evidenced by the widening gap in pre-registration assessment and MPharm pass rates between Black, African and white pre-registration trainees, and an overrepresentation of BAME communities in fitness to practice cases. And we've also been hearing from members of our profession of experiences they've had, both subtle and overt discrimination based on their race and ethnicity. And we'll be touching on these issues throughout the month at different Facebook Live events. But today, Black History Month is also a time to look forward and to celebrate the here and now and the future possibilities. So we wanted to focus today's Facebook Live to celebrate and highlight the great work and contribution of Black pharmacists on patient-centered care and healthcare within pharmacy and wider. And our panel members today will share their journey of their current role that they're undertaking, why they decided to do those roles, what their role actually is. And I'm definitely keen to hear about everyone's different role in the different sectors. And also, we would also like to touch on how we can support other Black pharmacists to reach their potential and take on similar roles throughout the profession. As I've already mentioned, if you have any comments or questions, please do post them below. We're also recording this session, so if you need to leave at any point or would like to watch it again, you can always go back onto our Facebook page to watch the session. So I'd like to hand over now to Yetunde, who will talk about her experience.
Oh, hello, everyone. Once again, I'm Yetunde Kolade, and I'm currently the Regional Medical Director at Reckitt Benckiser. I'm responsible for Europe, Russia, Australia, and New Zealand medical affairs. And how did my journey start? Actually, I graduated back in Nigeria at the University of Ife, and jumped straight to hospital pharmacy. And then I felt I didn't really like hospital pharmacy. And from there, I went to the industry and then back to academia to sort of do my master's, and then industry again, zigzag. And after which I started lecturing at the University of Ibadan at the Faculty of Pharmacy, during which I completed my PhD, did part of my PhD at the University of Vienna in Germany, which I collaborated across the board and had many journal articles in peer-reviewed journals. And there came in contact, of course, with Europe and decided to, come to Europe because then they were looking for high-skilled workers, for which I fell into one, and I felt that, I could progress my career further in Europe. And actually, during this time, I was contacted by BBC actually because there was a complaint that our brains were being stolen in Africa. They called it the brain drain then. And I was interviewed, and I did promise that whatever I gain on board, then I will impart back to Africa, at which at some point I had the opportunity to go back to Nigeria to sort of organize the 3-day conference to impact back some of the things that I have learned in the UK. There were difficulties when I came, of course, because I thought when I was coming, I would be able to straight away get these highly skilled jobs, when I got to the UK. But alas, that wasn't really the case. And I had to start looking for a job. I really wanted to have a job in the industry because I felt that would sort of leverage my PhD and all of that. So I was looking for opportunities at my level, but I couldn't, get one because, of course, they want UK experience for which you're just coming, and then, well understood, but that was quite difficult, and I'm sure many of you will find yourself in such a scenario. But what I didn't give up. I set my eyes like a stone because I wanted the industry, and I kept looking for a job in the industry. After which I didn't get a job at my level, so I went down the level and put a foot in. I said, okay, I know I need to prove myself because I'm just coming, and they may not, of course, have visibility of what I could be able to offer in the UK. What I need to do then is to put a foot into the industry at a lower job to be able to, jump higher. And that's exactly what I did. So I got that role. And in fact, I was being asked, you sure you're coming? This looks too. I said, don't worry, I'm coming. And that's exactly what I did. I went in, and then I matched up to introduce myself to say, this is who I am. I need to be getting into medical affairs. But then I had to prove myself because I was still in pharmaceutical analysis. So I worked extra hard. I went extra mile and had some milestone achievement in pharmaceutical analysis. And they felt, oh, you are meant for pharmaceutical analysis. I said, no, I'm meant for medical affairs. That's where my eyes are. And I set my eyes on that goal. I need medical affairs, and that's what I did. And after 2 years, I went straight, I was interviewed, and they felt, that, I was, I had proven myself, and I was taken to the medical affairs department. And that was a big joy in my heart because never give up. You just need to set your eyes on the goal or carve out where you want to be, face oppositions, with positivity and prove yourself within the system. And that's what I did within medical affairs. When I started in medical affairs, shortly after which I knew that I needed to develop myself on that role. And what I did was to go to the university to be a fully registered, to be able to begin my process as a fully qualified pharmacist. Because I didn't like the idea of coming to the UK and they can't call you really a pharmacist. Where are you? I'm from Nigeria. Here I am. I'm a pharmacist with a PhD. And then I come to the UK. Are you really a pharmacist? You need to do your conversion before you're UK registered pharmacist. So because of my desire for this profession, I had to again work extra mile to be able to go to the university on my role in medical affairs. I'm conscious of my time. I went to the university, combined it with my role. I was supported by my company, and that's why I love RB. I love my company. They're very supportive. They supported that, and I did my conversion on the role. Came out with a distinction at the university then again, despite the fact that I was combining with my role. And then I had to do the internship, what do you call them? The pre-reg. And that came my pre-reg. And again, you know, I knew that I needed to do my pre-reg. And what I did was to use my academic skills to, show the Pharmacists Council, what we could offer in RB as industrial. Anyway, I was able to do my pre-reg role in combination with, of course, the patient-facing, supported by my company once again, and that's how I became a fully registered pharmacist in the UK. What am I trying to tell you? You set your eyes on the goal and know where you're going. Look at development areas which will support you to reach that goal. There will be obstacles, but it is up to you to be determined and set your eyes like a flint on that target to be able to get to where you want to be. And shortly after that, I was made the medical affairs manager and lead for the whole of UK and Ireland. And after proving myself further, I was then, my region then widened, and I was made, the director, for Europe, Russia, Australia, and New Zealand, where I have my teams, scattered all over the nations. So never say, oh, you're a Black, you cannot do that, you cannot. No, I have fantastic teams scattered all over, who are very cooperative with me, and together who have really, supported me on the road to bring out the achievements which I have today. I think I should stop now and give my others a chance, because I've spent my 5 minutes. Thank you.
No, Yetunde, that's amazing, and your focus comes across really strongly, and I'd love to pick that up with you at, in our question answers. How did you keep your focus? And also, I know you've not had time to touch on it today, but the way you negotiated your pre-reg is actually an incredible story in itself. So no, thank you very much for sharing, Yetunde. Uzo, how about yourself?
Hello? Okay, who's on?
I find it hard to live up to that, I have to admit. So hi everyone, my name is Ibechukwu, and I'm the Chief Pharmacist at RUH Bath. Still fairly new in role, so learning, if you like, what my function is and my way around the role, but if you like, a bit about myself and how I got to this point. So I grew up in Nigeria. I came here with my mum, who's now a retired nurse. I came here in time to start my A-levels. At that time, I came here and I did what many Nigerians will do. I did physics, chemistry, maths, and biology, which was maybe a bit more than I needed to do, but it was what I did. And the simple fact is I chose pharmacy because my mom told me that I'll do it and I'll always have a job. At that point in time, I was still finding myself as a young person in a new culture. And to be honest, her wise words stay with me. So I went to university in Bath, incidentally, left there and went and became qualified in community pharmacy. One of the first hurdles was that I applied to as many hospitals as I'd be allowed to, and I didn't get a single response. So that was probably the first time in my life that I've been knocked back on such a scale. But there you go. So I qualified as a community pharmacist, worked in community pharmacy as a support pharmacist, then a pharmacy manager. At what point I moved to London. After a few years in community, I made the decision that I would like to, because many of my friends were clinical pharmacists, I would like to try and go into hospital. Once again, knockback after knockback. So I ended up applying for a job as a practice pharmacist in a PCT back in those days. And this was at the point of the Health and Social Care Act. And so I walked into primary care at the precise point at which there was a reorganization. I remember my manager at the time laughing at me about it. Didn't really understand it until I got in there. That was a very difficult period. And at that point, I made one decision about my career, that from then on, I was always going to be politically aware. And, I think, and one of the things I've found is that if you stay politically aware, you look at where policy is going, you will know what's going to happen to you in your sector 1, 2, 3 years in advance. So I stayed there for a while, and then I made the change a few years after some time to hospital pharmacy, at which point I did get in. Incidentally, that was probably the worst interview I've ever had in my life. And so I do think that providence plays a part. And I got there, and that was Wolverhampton. And so I'll always be grateful to that trust for giving me that chance. And then following on from there, after a few years, I think my experiences in primary care lended me more towards taking up operational and commissioning-based roles. At that time, once again, we had a chief pharmacist who very much appreciated the other skills that people brought. So, after my experiences in primary care, I very much found myself thinking, why do these decisions get made? Whatever your politics are, why did these decisions get made? And so I decided to make a pitch to the boss at the time to sponsor me for a master's in health policy, which once again, one of these various times in significant moments. So I was sponsored to do that, and I think that was transformative. And I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I think everybody should look at doing at least one course that has nothing to do with their area of practice. So did that course and moved into various lead roles and more operational roles, became a deputy, did some more by way of leadership courses. And then following on from there, I applied for this role, and I was successful. And I do think that part of the reason that I don't think I have the levels of focus that Yetunde has, for instance. But I think that what I built quite early on was, if you like, my view and my vision of what clinical pharmacy or what hospital pharmacy should look like. That might be different to other people's. That's fine. And that's why we're all grown up, so we can debate our differences. So I was brought into the field, and I've been here for 8 months now. And as I say, I'm still trying to learn what my role is. And if I could summarize it into a sentence, my role as a chief pharmacist is to make sure that prescribing and governance of medicines is safe, while also making sure that I am not the best person in the room at anything. And the importance is the team. The importance is the vision, the strategy. The importance is make sure that everyone is pointing in the same direction. So a lot of my role is actually probably organizational development more than anything. And it is one that I am really enjoying, even though this has been a very, very challenging year. I think looking back at the challenges that I feel I've faced, I look back to when I did my A-levels, and these were people who very much, to them, probably think that they had my best interests at heart. And there was this case of trying to lower my expectations at every point. First, it was the subjects which I took, seeing it, I'd just come here from Nigeria, maybe take easier subjects. Time to apply for pharmacy. Are you sure you want to do a healthcare related course? Time to go to Bath. Oh, that's a really good university. Are you sure? And at no point did anyone ever say you're not good enough. But it was the nudges, if you like. And let's be honest, at that point, and for most of my career, I haven't known any Black pharmacists. Half of the Black people in the UK live in London. So there are very few to go around. And I will always look back to the influence that my parents had. And, I think they were probably the only, they steered me, because throughout my career, I can't say that there've been any outside of London. You have, the huge personalities in London, and the rest of us are outside the London bubble, if you like. But role models are something that I've also struggled. And, I think if there's one thing that I would like to contribute, it's to be a role model, to be an available role model to anyone who might want their way forward. So yeah, lowered expectations, and those were probably the two biggest challenges I faced. And I guess also coming into a sector that had its own, at the time anyway, and I'm glad this is changing, but it had its view of what goes on in hospital pharmacy. And I've never thought like a hospital pharmacist. And I think what we need more and more is to appreciate that there are people that have different ways of thinking. I very much look at where I grew up as what shaped my experiences, or what shaped my values, or what shaped how I see healthcare. So I see healthcare and the need to provide good, or at least decent healthcare to as many people as possible, as framed by the fact that I grew up in a country or a town in Nigeria where, if you didn't have the money to pay for what you needed, nobody was going to touch you. So I almost see it as my life's mission, forget pharmacy, to provide good healthcare to people. I think it's important from an ambition point of view to always have something bigger than yourself to think about. And for me, it's how do you get healthcare to as many people as possible? So, I always put a lot of emphasis on transferable skills. I think if anything recently has taught us is that need for transferable skills, because there will always be a threat to the funding in your profession. There'll always be a threat to what you see as normal. So the sooner you can apply yourself to as many different places as possible, and also demonstrate that you're competent in as many areas as possible, the better. From a point of view of race, I'm still, honestly, I don't know where I am. I mean, the statistics and the experiences of my family members tell me without a doubt that this is a real experience. All the evidence shows that it is. There was an interview with with a Nigerian-born British actor who grew up in Nigeria, who said that he had the luxury of growing up as the racial majority, and so came here without any of those lived experiences. And that really resonated with me. And, I think I'm still learning how to cope with many of the microaggressions. And truth be told, they are exhausting when you start to think of it. When you go home and don't know how to react to something that's being said, the person who said it didn't think twice about it, has gone off, is having a good day. And and I think that is the bit that I'm still learning. There are many people who have been allies, who have helped me on my journey and not once thought about my race, and I will always thank them. But there are others who maybe have, and I honestly don't know. And, I think all of us can be role models and should be role models and should make ourselves available. And that is what I will do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Uzo. There is a strong theme coming through with the resilience piece, and you sell yourself short about, comparing yourself to Yetunde, but there's that resilience piece there, because, you didn't let yourself, the rejection of not getting a hospital pharmacy placement at the beginning didn't stop you. You just found another way in. So a more creative way. No, so thank you for sharing. And finally, Olateya, it'd be great to hear from you.
Hello, everyone. So, like I said before, my name is Olutayo Arikawe. So I completed my pharmacy degree in Nigeria. It looks like all of us did it in Nigeria. And I started working in Nigeria. I worked both as a community pharmacist and hospital pharmacist while I was in Nigeria. And then I decided that I needed to explore something different, and that was what made me to move over to the UK. So, and then I went to complete my conversion course at the Aston University. And I think while at Aston University, it was a bit difficult for me because every time I go for my lectures, I wasn't understanding what the lecturers were saying. I was hearing them, but sometimes maybe the accent or something like that. And every day I get home and I'm crying, I'm calling my mom and I'm telling her that, look, I think I'm just gonna fail this course because I don't even understand what the lecturers are saying. And I must say here that it is good to ask for help, when you need it, when you feel you need it. So what I did was to contact one of our lecturers, and she gave me some private lesson, and I ended up understanding it and I passed the course. And then I tried to get some jobs while doing my OSPAP conversion, but everywhere I took my CV, nobody got back to me. So my pre-reg happened to be the first time I would ever work in the UK. So I was combining, learning how to use the computer. I wasn't really used to using the computer. So I had to learn how to use the computer. I had to learn how to, to attend to people in the UK. And every time I pick the phone, maybe somebody will say, no, I don't want to speak to you. I want to speak to someone else. So the next time the phone rings, I'm afraid I don't want to pick the phone because I don't want to be rejected. And also the fact that where I was working in Nigeria, I'd already I've done my internship equal to the pre-reg a long time ago. And it's like going back to a step that you've left many years ago. But every time I get home, I have to tell myself, focus, look at the goal. There's a reason why you're here. So whatever it is that was done to me, by the staff or anything, I just tell myself it's a phase. It's going to be 1 year. You know what you were in for before coming here. You knew you were going back, to years ago before coming. So that kept me kind of focused, and it kept me without having any bitterness towards anybody, because I felt I might have lived that life before, but they didn't live it with me. So, and I had to forget where I was coming from and start all over again. And by the time I finished my pre-reg, I did some hospital placements. And at the end of my pre-reg, I knew that I wanted to work in the community pharmacy because I enjoyed interaction with people. I love talking to people. I love helping them to prevent diseases and, everything that community pharmacy has to offer. So I completed my pre-reg, and then I started working as a relief manager with Lois Pharmacy. And after like 1 year, I became a cluster lead manager, and I was managing 6 pharmacies. After a few months, the pharmacies were really doing well. I had 7 more pharmacies added to my portfolio. And I also won the best pharmacist in Lois then. And then I wanted to move to something else. Still community pharmacy, but I needed something else. So while I was almost immediately after finishing my pre-reg, I applied to this company. And the company that I applied to, I think that was about 6 months after I completed my pre-reg. They didn't even call me for an interview. So I called them and I said, so why didn't you call me for an interview? And the person was like, actually, you didn't have enough. We felt you didn't have enough experience. We felt this and this and that. I said, okay, that's fine. So immediately after finishing my pre-reg, I applied for my master's. I know I was passionate about public health. So I did my master's in public health, and I did several courses. I also became an independent prescriber and so many things. So 5 years after, the company, the same company that didn't call me for a pre-reg, 5 years ago, they had the same advertisement. This time around, they had the advertisement for a manager and superintendent. So I applied again. I decided to forgive. Well, I decided not to look at the fact that they didn't even call me for an interview. So I applied again. And then this time around, they gave me the job. So when they did, after I had received my employment letter, and it was the same person that interviewed me that I called 5 years ago. So I went to meet him. I said, do you know that 5 years ago, you didn't even call me for an interview? So I said, I want to know what is the difference. What made you to call me this time around and give me the job? So he said, well, actually, I'm so happy that I didn't give you the job 5 years ago. He said, because rejecting you 5 years ago, if rejecting you 5 years ago has made you to go back and have a CV that is this full, then I'm glad that I did it. Probably if I gave you the job 5 years ago, maybe you would have been too comfortable, to push yourself further. I said, well, yeah, that's fine. Well, the person happened to be Mark Cosio, and, the chairman of PTA. And both of us have a good relationship now. And he has seen me move, from this timid person. When he gave me the job, he still gave me the job of a manager. He didn't give me the job of the superintendent. And I guess that, maybe he saw me also as this very gentle, timid person. And then about a year after, I told him, I think I'm good enough for a superintendent. And I think you should be giving me the job of the superintendent. So anyway, I ended up getting that job. So one thing I want to say is that you have to know what you want. And you need to go for it. You need to look out for those opportunities and don't be afraid, to ask for it or go for it. Sometimes it looks as if you're not prepared enough, but you don't have to be 100% prepared. You can learn on the job. And also you have to, when you know where you're going, you've got to build yourself, for where you're going. So I know that one of the reasons why he gave me the job was because I was an independent prescriber and it needed somebody who, one of the prerequisites for the job was an independent prescriber. So, but it's a good job that I already got that, qualification. So when you know where you want to be, you've got to work towards getting to where you want to be, but don't, go for those opportunities, put yourself forward. And the role of mentors cannot be overemphasized. If you see somebody that is doing well, where you want to be, you can always contact them. I'm sure that all the Black people, most Black people, if not all, will be happy to mentor you, to pull you by the hand, not just mentoring, also sponsoring, to the post that you want to be. I want everybody to achieve much more success even than myself. So I'm happy to mentor anybody who needs the help. Okay, I'll stop there because of my time.
No, thank you. That's also another incredible story. Again, the key theme is focus and resilience. So we've had a comment come in from Lola. Well, she's written two things. So fab role model, so brilliant. And then also resilience, focus, determination, a positive outlook, and no bitterness about struggles. So thank you for all sharing your incredible journeys. So it has been incredible to hear. I'm conscious of time as well. And I had some of the questions you've already answered in what you've already shared. So your biggest challenges and achievements and advice. So that's come out quite strongly. So I suppose one last question for each of you is, what would you like to see to change so that more Black pharmacists are doing the roles that you're doing and empowered to take on those opportunities? So I'll start with Yetunde first.
So first of all, you need to do your research, find out areas for which you have passion, and then do the research in that area to know what that role entails. Speak to people already in the roles. For example, I know in medical affairs, there are not many pharmacists in medical affairs in the industry, whereas we should be having more pharmacists. So ask questions, go online, look at what medical affairs entails or the particular role you are interested in entails, and start to see what transferable skills you can use to apply to such a role and what gaps you currently have that will not be able to meet that role, and see how you can address or develop yourself in such area. So research is key. You need to read. Most people don't like reading, and you need to study, you need to read, you need to have passion, you need to identify your passion, and you need to go after it. Have targets, have set targets, collaborate with people, connect. Don't be isolated. You need to connect to people who are already in that line or in that field that you are. Don't walk in isolation. That's what I need to say, and develop yourself. So those are the key things.
Brilliant, thank you. And same question to Uzo as well.
Sorry, Amanda, could you repeat the question
Sure. So what change would you like to see so that more Black pharmacists are taking on the roles? So, for example, more chief pharmacist roles?
I think similar to what we've all said, I think making ourselves available as role models and actually showing examples out there will be one thing. I think looking at what the picture is like, as I said, outside London, you know, it's one thing for so we need, you know, Black students in colleges to want to go to a school of pharmacy, from the school of pharmacy, you know, to want to come to a region of the country that's not London. You know, I think institutions such as mine, and in fact, right across the board, we need to do more work in pulling students out and not just expect that people are going to apply for pharmacy, because that will not always be the case. You know, I think other AHP, the other AHP professions have shown, you know, I believe have gone out and done a lot more work to show what is possible. And I think we need to, you know, there's no point in having this professional arrogance. We need to we need to go out and do that pulling to come in. You know, I think Olutayo, what you said about networks, again, is key. You know, I think making ourselves available, and it's one thing for us to make ourselves available, it's another thing for people to believe that they can get in touch with us. So to anybody who's listening, please believe that we are all open to talk, to bounce ideas, to talk to you about your life experiences. You know, I think as part of that process of pulling people into pharmacy, we need to look at, and this is all stuff that's been, you know, that the evidence shows, we need to change, if you like, or review how we recruit so that we're recruiting people with those different backgrounds. Because as I say, it's the background that makes you who you are, rather than, you know, the 4 years that you did at uni. Everybody has a slightly different way of looking at things, and we need to have as many of those different ways as possible.
Great, thank you. And finally, Olateya.
I'm going to look at it in two ways. For the individuals, I think that we need to push ourselves. We need to network, okay, and not just go to places, network with people that you find there. We also need to aim to achieve. Don't be scared. The worst thing is that somebody will say no to you, but it doesn't show. You can always, you know, go for the next one. But I also want employers and organizations to be more supportive of inclusion and diversity. You know, they have to create that enabling environment where Black people, you know, would be able to access the resources that they have, and also to be in positions of leadership. We can't have board members where everybody is white. And also they need to realize that BAME has to have the B. So you can't say because you have BAME, which is not a Black person. Our experiences are different, you know, and our what we have to contribute is different. So we want to see a Black person, you know, in every leadership of organization. So inclusion and diversity, I want to see employers, universities, you know, they have to start supporting Black people from when they are in the university, so that they help to develop their confidence. And also I want university to be able to parade Black models, role models, so that people would see that they have people like them who are in positions like, you know, the previous speakers. So yeah, and the individuals, let them know that they have the support that they need if they need any help. We're all here for them, and many more people.
No, brilliant, thank you. Yes, and that I&D, inclusion and diversity piece, is something that obviously the RPS is picking up on, and we're encouraging other organizations to start looking at and, you know, hold ourselves accountable to how we can address those and have more Black representation and visibility in the senior leadership roles as well. So I'd just like to say finally again, thank you for sharing your story and the time to speak to me today. It's been really, really interesting, and I'm sure the listeners have found it really inspiring. And as you've said, you know, you've offered to get in people to get in touch with you. And if you're not on Twitter, I know some of you are, you can always email me at iand@rpharmacist.com, and I can share your details with our panel members today. And if you'd like to continue to support the RPS with the I&D work, do join our ABCD group. And again, we can find details on the page, on our Pharmacists website page about that as well. So I'd just like to say a final thank you to our panel today. And please do join in next week because we've got another Facebook Live as well. So thank you.